All right. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Instant Ink Comic Book Podcast. This is the podcast where every few episodes we put together a beautiful little one-page comic, and we do it all live. So we don't know what we're going to do right now. We're going to bring up some prompts, we're going to brainstorm it, we're going to write it, and Roberto's going to draw it all out, and we're going to do it all with the help of Phoebe here. So it's going to turn out hopefully really good, but we'll see how that goes because we don't know right now. So I'm Adriano, Pesto Comics. You can find me at Pesto Comics on all of the socials or at pestocomics.com. And my good friend and co-host here, Roberto, is the artist. And Roberto, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Ro. I am the founder of Green Iceberg Press and creator of Voyager. And you can find me on roberto.viacavaillustration.com.
Right on. And today we have the pleasure of the guest of Phoebe Xavier with us to help us put the story together. So Phoebe, if you'd like to give an intro, who are you? What are you about?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Instantly. Phoebe A and Xavier. I am founder and editor-in-chief of 123 Couple Publications, which is a indie comic book brand. We have about 20 comic books out. I also wrote a 17 short story collection, Superlunar Latency, which is available. I've been publishing a couple other collections. Kickstarter active right now called 13th Moon Volume 3 is our horror anthology. And if you want to go into Kickstarter and look up Third Moon Volume 3, the number is 13 and the word, and you'll find this.
Wonderful. All right. So the timing worked out really well. We got a spooky season going on. It sounds like you got an anthology that fits that theme perfectly. So I don't know that the prompts will come up with that way, but you're hoping. So let's see what we got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here with our prompts, and I'm going to regenerate them, and we will see what we're left with. So as you can see, there's ones already here. We're not going to use those. I'm going to hit generate, and now I will read these out for you, and we'll see what we land on. So here are prompts. Natural wonders. Something that is naturally wonderful. Silly sports. Characters talking about a sport much too seriously. Good vibes. What's a situation where the character is getting great vibes? Coffee or tea? A dialogue about the merits of coffee versus tea. Or constant motion. Write about something that can't stop and why. So we actually just did constant motion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give us another prompt if we can't decide on one of these four. So are any of these four speaking to you, Phoebe? Or are there any that really stand out?
Natural wonders sounds okay.
Okay. So we're going to go with these ones, natural wonders. That sounds good. All right. Any thoughts on where that might be leading you? What you're thinking about when you hear that?
Do you know like the national parks in southern Utah / northern Arizona in the United States? Like Arches National.
I'm an ignorant Canadian, so when you say that, all I can think of is the Grand Canyon. Something else I should know about that area? Is there
just formations, mesas, weird, cool. Yeah, like there are some arches that are like that. It looks almost like supernatural in like the way that like these are balanced in this way, but it's just because of this worth of erosion that have hollowed out certain weird forms. The place called like Antelope Canyon has these wriggled into the rock formation thousands, millions of years. It looks like an antelope and stuff like weird, like just like weird, like petroglyph type of is in these natural rock formations. So that's what came to my mind. I don't know.
Oh, that's great. That sounds really original and different. I like it. Roberto, does that sound like something that you're familiar with, or do we have to look up some references?
I'm just going.
Right.
But yes, yes, I like it. It's rocks from a kind of magenta blue colors. I guess it's the light coming through.
Right on.
It looks like the movie Franco, the one where he cuts his arm. I can't remember the name.
Yeah. What is it? 127 hours? We're called. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
A similar part of the world, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. You know what? This is a great prompt. I'm in. You sold me on it. I like it. I was drawing a total blank, so I appreciate that.
It's
Nice.
It's kind of cool, Grand Canyon, but like it's totally different formation.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I learned something new today because I knew nothing about that. But yeah, for me, like natural wonders. Yeah. I'm in Toronto. Roberto's in Niagara Falls. That's the only one I can think of is Niagara Falls. So that's we
That's
just did
our
that.
natural one.
So that's good. I'm glad you came with something different. I'm into it. I like the idea. Okay, so natural wonders is our prompt. How do we turn this into a comic though? So we have our setting, right, which is good. Do we have a conflict of some sort that comes about?
In the drum.
Yeah, we need some drama here. Keeping in mind that we're very limited. We have 4 to 6 panels to make some drama out of this. Where do we go with this? Phoebe, I'm looking at you. What do you got in mind? I feel like you might have something.
Also need characters.
Yes.
Absolutely need characters. Yes. So also limitation there, right? You only have so much time to establish, and time as in panels, to establish said characters. 1 to 3 usually is our go-to.
But unless you want to do something more poetic and the character is the antelope canyon and is speaking to the universe or something, I don't know. Good.
Yeah, we're open to anything, right? Like we'll do silly, we'll do poetic, we'll do all of it. Depends on what you got in mind.
Who's going to fill in the captions? Who's going to do the dialogue?
So we'll write it, then Roberto will actually put it on the art because we can't, fortunately, we can't do it together in that way. But yeah, so we'll come up with what to say. He'll
You write it on the chat box and I copy and paste on the page.
yeah.
Okay.
So if you have some yeah, we'll rely on you for that.
Okay. Well, what about then maybe since we introduced like Southwestern America as the setting, Antelope Canyon specifically, what if we used a classic Native American person in that setting? Maybe it could be before Europeans got here, maybe necessarily. That setting.
Oh yeah.
And with a traditional Native person at that setting.
Yeah, that could be something. Okay, so we got our character. So what's the conflict now? What's the
space, the setting is named after an animal. Maybe it would be like either observation of an animal or hunting of an animal.
That's good. That's inherent conflict. I like that. So this is the fun part, right? Because we're just thrown into it. We don't necessarily know where we're headed. No idea is a bad idea, that whole thing. So, but I think we're headed in a good direction anyway. But sometimes it helps just to throw stuff out too, because you never know where you'll end up. At one of our episodes, we were talking about dragons for a good 20 minutes before we decided it would be a bear in a campsite. So,
yes.
Yeah, so you never know what you'll lead to as you talk it out. So we're talking about, I think I got to look this place up myself. I need to see it. So it's Antelope. What is it called? Antelope
Canyon, I believe.
Antelope Canyon. Now I have a clear picture. What belongs in Antelope Canyon? Navajo Upper Antelope Canyon. Well, here's where I show my ignorance. If we're talking about like indigenous folks from there, is that the Navajo or is that
Navajo
something
or
else?
Apache? I think would both be from that region.
Right on. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, because I feel like, yeah, looking at these, like, there's areas in this canyon where it's like there's certain beams of light that shine through. I wonder if that's a good visual, right? So something is happening either. So we don't want to go with the typical someone's trapped or stuck because there's a movie about that. But we want something. So there's got to be some conflict here, right? So either maybe it's somebody following an animal, maybe it's somebody discovering an animal. Is the animal the one that's stuck or in pain or something, or is it some kind of vicious animal that this person didn't expect?
They could be following the animal, and then
Yeah.
the animal might lead them to something unexpected.
Oh yeah, and yeah, we don't even have to go realistic to be fair, right? We can throw this into a fantasy realm if we want. Yeah,
They could cross into the mystical.
yeah, exactly, right? Go around a corner and it's something entirely unexpected. We could even go sci-fi. You want to do some time travel, something like that? I'm into that. Whatever's gonna, yeah, whatever
We can
brings the
finish it
most.
with Aliens versus Predator on the last.
Yeah. Yeah. Just go right off the wall with it. Okay. And then I'm reading this thing. So photography within the canyons is difficult because of the wide exposure range. So it's basically like the light coming off the canyon really messes with cameras, but like arguably your vision and stuff as well. So I wonder if there's something within that. Like the way the light is bouncing makes you either see something that you're not seeing, or maybe it obscures something that's actually there. So maybe that's our mystical plot there, that there's something just beyond that we can't see because of the light. I don't know if that's a path to go down. Roberto, you're drawing something, but you're not sharing.
Yeah. Oh, yes. No, I'm just,
I feel jealous with what you're able to see. Oh, look at that. You're really hiding from us.
I was just trying to
Wow.
summarize all the ideas
Yeah, that's
to
cool.
start with something.
I think we're on to something here. So we have our character. We'll go the more, at least to begin, like more poetic route in that sense of it's a singular character. I guess the animal or whatever is leading this person through where they're headed is our conflict. Like again, we don't know if they're hunting or just following out of a sense of awe. Like maybe it's an animal that doesn't belong there. And this way we don't have to worry about being so accurate. Or, yeah, I don't know. Phoebe, which way are you leaning? You're the driver here. So if you feel strongly one way or the other, you let us know.
Go your way. Thinking it was just a tiny bird.
Okay. Yeah.
What I keep thinking was just a tiny bird.
That's clever. Yeah.
And maybe, again, we're going to have to deal with other prompts like that take us in different directions.
Yeah, we can keep what we got. We can keep going this way. Or yeah, if we need the help of a prompt, we can throw those in as well. But it's not obligated. If we can come up with a complete story based on what we got here, we're good.
Okay. So this is the story thing that the guy is maybe starving or dying of thirst. And he's just following this little bird because it's the only other life he sees that maybe like that he finds water in the final panel. That the little bird like kind of leads him to what he needed.
Oh, I like that.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, that's a very good. I like it. It's a great little narrative. It'll definitely work on a one page. Okay. So let's think about layouts now. Roberto, I don't know if you want to draw it out or do we talk it out?
Yes. Well,
Let's think about how this flows.
yeah, I'm thinking that first finally just lay out the setting with maybe the guy falling apart or there's walking some dust.
Yeah. Showing the desolation of it.
I don't know how his looks, or maybe his face, looking at the sun, the lips cracked,
Chapped.
Yeah.
yeah, and then the bird, or very it's going not to what.
Yeah, this is actually great. I wonder if there's we'll talk about this in a later stage, but this is such a clear image here that I feel like we'll struggle to caption it or dialogue it, but just good in a way. That's what you want. Yeah. Okay. So bird's flying away. We got a couple panels to work with. So what's next? See the bird. Is it the bird leading him into a crevice in this canyon? Perhaps, or
or into a place where there'll be a shallow puddle. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Which should probably be the final reveal. The last panel should maybe be like him with his hands like cupping the water. Maybe in another panel between these first three and the last one, have him like almost collapsing, like he's done. We think he's done, and then like he looks up and the bird is sipping out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
So he sees like that the bird brought him.
Right on. So like the fourth panel will be him, like you mean in between? So like before that would be the third panel of him like basically collapsed, and then.
Well, I think I like the way Roberto did the third panel, but maybe the fourth panel we almost think that the character like has no energy left.
Done. Yeah. Okay.
Like he's collapsing
as much as he wants to. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe like more of a horizontal panel where he's crawling.
Sorry,
a thin horizontal panel under the other three.
Here. So he's collapsing after he sees the bird, or maybe we should do it before.
After he sees the bird, he's almost like he's crawling, but maybe not gonna make it.
Yeah, he's like he wants to follow it, but he's just out of gas, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'll do this smaller.
This is actually a lot of fun.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
That's the idea.
Yeah. So we've done a handful of these. They've been, unfortunately, everybody comes with a totally different like spin on things. Like what you're doing here, very unique from what everybody else has come up with. And we had our first episode was just the two of us. We came up with something pretty silly. So yeah, so far it's been interesting. Everybody's got a really different like view on everything, really different take on how to go about all of this. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm glad you're enjoying it though.
It started with natural beauty or whatever, and I was like, awesome. And then you're like, but what natural beauty? I was like, oh, I know this place is beautiful.
I'm glad you had that. I'm glad you had because I was stumped. But that's the magic of collaboration. Somebody has something. right? You all make up for each other's gaps, for lack of a better. Like Roberto does all of the drawing.
I've heard
Can't
it
draw.
referred to before as rock soup. Somebody shows up with rocks and you put it in the water, and then maybe someone shows up with this spice or this plant, and at the end you actually have a proper soup.
Wow, I've never heard that one, but I like it.
Some hippies that I refer to that. I don't know.
That adds up. Yeah, that definitely checks out. Nice. All right. Okay, so we know where we want to head with this. Like, so we're gonna have the bird drinking the water. The question is, do we want like just this guy like drinking water himself, like relief, or do we want again something more fantastical, like an oasis that he comes into? Right? Is that too far? You tell me.
I think that water itself is the
Huh?
thing that
Let's
is
go
keeping him
subtle.
alive and what is rewarding him. But it could be the type of could also be the type of shot where maybe there's like energy behind him, like radiating that he will
Oh yeah.
live or whatever.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, like it doesn't have to be literal, basically. I like that.
I think, those first four panels look like a really good layout. I have this thing when I write, and it might be, and especially in one page, it might be too much information that I need to find another way to do. But I always, when I start, I introduce with this is where it's happening, this is when it's happening, and I feel like that's more detail than we need in this. So maybe talk more about like his desperation for it's been days alone in the desert or something like that. I've lost family or my tribe or whomever. I haven't eaten in days. I haven't eaten in days.
Yeah, I think we could fill those gaps for sure. We got a good opportunity there. Yeah, and I think you're good. Like here with you got your establishing shot. We're getting the emotion across in the second panel there. And then our again, not so much conflict, but we got our impetus here with the bird showing up and it's okay. Those birds alive.
I think 2 or 3. And I think we know the final action. The final action is like him cupping the water, pulling up to his face. Should be the final action. And then the question, I think we want one more look from his eyes, maybe before like him giving, before we see him feed with the bird drink. I think panel 4 was us thinking he's almost dead.
So like an extreme close.
Yeah. Because I think panel 4 is him accepting that he's got no more gas. And then panel 5 should be the reader be like, oh yeah, this dude's finished. And then panel 6 is him seeing hope. And then panel 7, the final panel, should be him actually a redemption, actually receiving life.
I have a problem with that because I think if he's giving up, it's like the water is disappearing out of nowhere. It's like magical disappearing because of the bird. Because if not, if the bird is guiding him, he has to move. He can't give up so fast. He has to go somewhere, climb a rock or something.
Okay.
And maybe
so what do you think?
Up a wall and he finds that there is nothing around or behind that wall, and then the bird is biting somewhere else or something like that.
Okay, then what if in panel 5 we show that the bird is drinking water, and then panel 6 is him struggling to get there, knowing that if he can only get that much further,
Coming over a ledge,
or any sort of accomplishing a physical feat to get.
Not this one. This is the final.
No, that should still be the final panel, but the next 2 should be the bird drinking first, and then him struggling to get to where the bird is.
Now I think we have too many panels, and I don't know if the 2 and second and third panel are relevant.
Make it into one.
I think, yeah, maybe that. Okay, yeah, that third and fourth panel, I think, are telling the same story, right? He's the bird, and then he's struggling to follow it. So maybe, yeah, we use that extra space.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
Panel 3 could be what panel 4 is, right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then that gives us more room to tell that story of like why the struggle's happening.
I do lettering. I do my own lettering and graphic design, book layout, and stuff like that. I do everything in GIMP and other Linux-based programs. It's just interesting to see somebody working in this clip studio. Definitely a more complex program.
It is. Yeah, there's a lot more functionality in it for sure. I used to use GIMP a lot. I would use Inkscape for lettering myself. I find there are a few issues doing so. Even just like when you're bringing books to print and you use Inkscape, yeah, there's format issues and things like that, like just color format. So I've moved to Affinity now, which is like a one-time lifetime subscription. But yeah, the open source tools are terribly powerful. Like they can get a lot done, but yeah, sometimes you need to work a little more for it, right?
No, no worries. I would not be able to be doing independent comic books if I didn't start doing my lettering first. When it first started, it was like, okay, I can afford to pay this artist this much to do these pages, but then I better do.
100%. Yeah. And it's like lettering, as much as there's an art to it, and as much as it's like, you can't take it for granted because if it's done poorly, it brings down the quality of the book.
On
Like you definitely have to learn to do it properly. That said, it's probably the most learnable of the arts, right? Like you can, of all the process, like you could try to learn, right? Like that stuff's fine, but lettering's probably the lowest barrier to entry. And that's just thanks to some of the resources that are out there, right? Like they've made it very accessible that you can learn it if you have patience to, regardless of the tool you use. Like I mentioned, like I used Inkscape for the longest time. I just found there's a lot of shortcuts that you're missing when you use the open source stuff. But it also helps. It helps to learn how to do it the hard way first. So you appreciate those tools and those shortcuts and what they're doing for you. Like you're almost learning how to do it properly, right? You're learning how to bake from scratch before you get the pre-mixed stuff. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Um,
I wasn't even making my own balloons for the first like 10 books that I did. Like I was using all sorts of open source free balloons that like I would have to fit that shape to whatever page or panel. I now actually do make my own balloons and stuff, but yeah. And so like when you work with those kind of limits on your ability, it tests your creativity. You got to work a little harder to be creative and to make it look.
yeah, exactly. Like those bounds really make it a lot more interesting now because, okay, I can't say as much as I wanted to say because it's going to look funny. So how do I rethink this?
Also going back and forth with the people that are the writers that I letter for, that I'll be like, hey, you wrote 4 paragraphs on this tiny panel. Can we work on this? There's no way those words are going to fit there. What can we do to convey the same message in less words?
Yeah, right. Visual medium. You definitely have to keep that in mind that a lot of what you want to say can be said with what's being drawn. So you don't necessarily have to spell it out, right? Yeah, it's a skill. It's a skill like anything else. You have to respect the form.
It's fun. I have more fun with it now than I did initially. It was more of a job or chore. And I find ways to get more creative with it and simplify and get more efficient.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like the longer you're at something, like the easier it gets, and the more you can actually like have fun with it because now you've gone over the hurdle of the struggle of it.
Absolutely. Hey, what are we doing with all that empty space?
I don't know. I feel like we're missing a panel here. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. He's just dying and then drinking.
Just make it.
Do we need his redemption out of this, or what do you think?
I don't know. That's the story to me. What if
That's the story that I rearranged it. But are you happy with the? Because
I like the flow of things. I think that panel 5, the bird looks like he's like bathing in the water. I think he shouldn't be bathing in it as much as maybe drinking. Okay. Panel 6, panel 4, maybe the bird should not be bathing. But panel 5 looks really good with his like reach for the hope of it at all or whatever. What if we took the whole bottom of the page to actually do, that'd be panel 6, but more of a front on view of him and like more, maybe his hands a little more in the foreground and his head like right there up the center of the panel and just like smiling and bringing the water to his face and use the whole bottom panel for that.
yes.
Just like a big celebratory moment, like you said, go back less literal with it, right?
Yeah.
Like a moment of serenity.
Definitely a moment of giving another chance at life. He's not going to die. The first 3 or 4 panels, I'm going to die. And then this one is, no. Yes, more like that.
Right on.
And then we could possibly, since we set that like the magical, or not magical, wonderful natural place or whatever, the details of a canyon with something as beautiful as Antelope Canyon might be behind him then to give it some just, beauty at the end.
Some color to it.
coming back to the beauty and life. Another thing I was thinking is that the hands have even some water splashing out or out of his hands, like an overflow of, yes, there's enough to live. There's more than enough to live.
Perfect. I was thinking, how does a bird drinks? Because they have legs, so they have to scoop the water and let it flow by gravity to.
Yeah, they like scoop it up, right? But you can't get that motion.
Oh, the bird, I think with his beak kind of can pull it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most birds can drink with their head like at 90-degree angle.
Okay.
That actually have the human sucking inhale motion. I'm pretty sure.
I never saw a bird with the tongue out of their mouth or the beak.
I like panels 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 a lot. 4 is the only one that I would say maybe let's edit about how the bird is engaging with the water.
Okay. Yes.